The Chiefs have wrapped up their preseason. Everything's in the books, and now the hard part begins. But you saw this true offense, and it came out hot. And just like a Rashee Rice back shoulder fade, we are coming to you live right now on Locked On Chiefs.
From the land of the free and the home of the Chiefs, this is the Locked On Chiefs podcast.
Welcome back, Chiefs Kingdom. That's a wrap on your preseason, and we are going to wrap it up here for you with Matt Derrick live from the stadium. You can find him over at ChiefsDigest.com, or you can always find him, Chiefs Digest, here on the YouTube platform, and 41 is the mic. You need to check that out, as well as every TV station in town. You should probably do that as well. I'm Ryan Tracy, the founder of Rogue Analytics and Performance Consulting, NFL33.com, and RGRFootball.com, along with my partner on the other side, Chris Clark, who you can find at KC Chiefs Corner. We are going to run it down for you. I'm very happy to say preseason is over. We are going to tell you what this means for cuts that might be looming. That's coming up later in the show. Who carved out their spots? That's going to be here in just a little bit, because there are some actual decisions that got made tonight, I am convinced. And we're going to start with, I think, a huge sigh of relief, Matt. This offense came out swinging, and they looked like they knew what they were doing. A couple of wrinkles had been worked out in terms of Mahomes and the offensive line. Clearly the best that they've seen for any protracted time this season. I feel like this is Andy Reid's plan paying off. This offense looked like it's ready. How did you feel about it?
Yeah, I mean, this is exactly what the Chiefs wanted to do going out, is just prove and show what they have been doing in St. Joe, and showing that they can do it when they're going up against some real competition and some other guys that are wearing pads. The offense only had 2 plays going into tonight, and they had that one drive for a touchdown. They now have 23 plays under their belt in the preseason, and they've scored 24 points. If you keep that percentage and that ratio up, you're going to set some records. But this, I mean, to me, the last time that you saw a Chiefs offense, particularly the number one offense, look like this was 2022. I mean, they had some pretty pedestrian performances the last couple of years. And what was the significant thing about 2022 when the first team offense looked that good and this good? Well, they won a Super Bowl, and they were the number one offense in the league. So that's a pretty good sign. I mean, this looked like the Chiefs offense of its glory days of Mahomes, that is just going to go out there. It can use its speed to run up and down on you, and good luck stopping them. Now, hey, is it the Bears? Are the Bears a playoff team? To me, probably not, but it's an NFL team, and to look the way that you did, and I mean, even go ahead and add on that drive. I mean, they in the previous game, in the Arizona game, they had the 2-play touchdown drive. I mean, those count too. So the fact of the matter is that when number one offense and Patrick Mahomes have been on the field, this team has looked fantastic.
Yeah, and you have multiple guys that are looking fantastic. You have wide receivers, running backs, Patrick Mahomes looking great. You have an offensive line that actually was able to go out there and put on some good tape, especially on the left side of the offensive line. I thought they did a very good job. But it was the return of the deep ball, Mahomes actually putting some air under it. I think that really showed what this offense is going to be. But Ryan, you said something right at the start that I think is a huge key. And it's that Patrick Mahomes is going to probably be looking for a back shoulder fade way more than he has ever done. And that is not a throw that has been in his repertoire. And until then, it has been something that you look at and say, okay, well, they have some receivers that could probably do it, but Mahomes doesn't like throwing that ball. He's done it multiple times in the preseason now. I think that is something that is going to go into the regular season and going to be something that can really help them going forward. Matt, what was the thing that stood out to you the most on offense?
I mean, to me, for the most part, it was the amount of time that Mahomes had to work. When was a time last season that you saw Mahomes have that kind of time to just drop back and sit back and, one, look around the field, or two, let a deep ball like that develop? I mean, it was perfect. And I mean, the one thing about that deep ball that didn't look like it looked like in training camp was that it wasn't a touchdown. I mean, maybe the touch was just like an inch off, just a little bit shorter. The receiver's a little bit faster. Maybe it goes for a touchdown. But yeah, to me, it was a big part of the success that the offense had tonight was just that Mahomes had time. You give this quarterback time, and he's going to pick you apart. We know that. So that to me, I think, was one of the big things. And yes, small sample size, but the fact that your top 2 running backs get 6 carries for 36 yards, averaging 6 yards a clip, that's positive too, because that's not what this offense was putting up last year. So, hey, is that what we're going to see going forward? I don't know. Now, I know Pro Football Focus, take your grains of salt, whatever you want. Kingsley Suamataia was their top-graded Chiefs pass protector tonight in pass blocking. So your mileage may vary, but
it varies.
It's a data point, I guess.
Don't get me wrong.
Switch.
Don't get me wrong.
Nobody was
fully in support.
Nobody complaining about Kingsley tonight, right?
Right. By my count, they missed 2 big plays on the touchdown play. He had a hard inside slash that he couldn't quite keep up to. If it hadn't been such a quick route, that might have caused a problem. There was one other play where he had to end up wrapping his arm around the defender because he took another inside cut that he didn't quite get to. It's not completely sorted out, but it was a huge step forward. And I felt like he and Simmons, that pair tonight, showed you everything that you need to feel good about playing these Chargers in Brazil and moving on from that next. Then the question about the running is even better. But I think the overall thing for me is the guy who looked most relieved. Well, Hollywood looked pretty relaxed on the sideline, but the guy who looked most relieved on the field to me was probably Travis Kelce. He had that little drop, and he made a couple of things, but he's not alone in the woods trying to find the way out for the whole team anymore, Matt.
Yeah, well, exactly. And, and I thought that by and large, a lot of the guys on the field looked like they were having a good time. And that is a flashback because it has been a while since we have seen this offense go out there and have some fun. And confidence is a part of success too. And swagger, we know, is a part of this team's success. And that's been missing the last 2 years. Now, we'll see, because if injuries hit again, then yeah, maybe that swagger and confidence is going to get taken away. But they're starting out with it. There's no doubt about it. This offense feels like it can go out there and dictate terms against any team at any time. And feeling that way is the first big step towards actually doing it. So I think that you're right. Seeing Travis Kelce without the weight of the world on his shoulders is a good thing, because, playing with that kind of pressure only wears you out even more. And let's face it, Travis is not getting any younger. You got to take care of him.
You know who else showed back up tonight? Trey Smith, the enforcer. His blocking was fantastic. Him catching that guy twice, pancaking somebody. That specific play reminded me of the play against San Francisco, Mahomes' rookie year, where he's running around trying to find somebody and then throws for a touchdown. Hunt couldn't bring the ball in this time, but it was still a fantastic play, and it shows that Mahomes is back to what he has been doing before. And I absolutely loved what I saw from the offensive line and what I saw from Patrick. Just a great way to end the preseason in my mind.
What do they call that? A short stack now? 2 pancakes on one play? We'll have to come up with something, but those kind of plays are what make rosters. Some guys carved out their spots tonight. Tyquan Thornton sealed it. He is just one of them. The rest are next. This episode is presented by Yahoo Fantasy, and it's the best time of the year because the NFL kickoff is almost here, and that means fantasy football season is back in full swing. This year, Yahoo Fantasy is turning things up with a fantasy football experience like never before. This year, me and Locked On Chiefs are playing on Yahoo Fantasy, so you should too. Whether you're a first-timer or a veteran making your millionth league, you can get into it. My main league is over 20 years old, and it's been on Yahoo forever. Make sure you check this out, because to celebrate their 28 years of fantasy football greatness, Yahoo Fantasy is dropping 28 big new features over the 28 days throughout August. To kick it off, they just dropped the Yahoo Fantasy Guillotine Leagues, a killer new way to play fantasy football on Yahoo, where the lowest scoring team gets eliminated from the league each week until there's only one left standing. And this season, it's just around the corner. Now's the time to get your league together and give it a try in a new mode, whether it's one of the classics, this guillotine, or head-to-head, or you can just join a normal public league like you have in the past. Stay tuned for more killer announcements and start playing Yahoo Fantasy Football now at yahoofantasy.com/LockedOnNFL. Make sure you check out Chiefs Digest and ChiefsDigest.com, the YouTube thing, the whole 9 yards. Thanks for making us your first listen. Check out another Locked On show when you're done with this one. I know it's a little late, but there's time for it. Matt, this is one we've talked about. Tyquan Thornton being on the roster here for pretty much since week 1 of the preseason. But I think the big play certainly sealed it, being able to stretch the field like that. But he's not alone. I felt like Nico Remigio made this roster. It's done. They're going to keep 7, and both those guys are going to be on this roster right now. Do you see it a different way?
I really don't. I mean, there was no doubt in my mind that Tyquan Thornton was already on the 53 heading into tonight. And he just reinforced that. So there did nothing absolutely to lose his job. Not sure that anybody else, really stepped up to take anything away. The only thing that we didn't get to see that, could have been bad news for Nico Remigio would be Tyquan Thornton got a chance to return a kick. But here's the thing is that Tyquan has almost zero kick cut return experience in his career. And I think you even saw against Seattle why, because he just is, he's a great runner on 9 routes and deep balls and running straight down the field, but he kind of runs that way on returns too. And he just kind of runs straight forward until he hits something. So Nico, I think, gives you once again a little bit more upside there. He's not the fastest guy in the world, but they believe in him. And, you look at how they were using Nico in this game, and especially kind of getting fed there a little bit and getting a connection there with Gardner when he was out there. I think that pretty much solidifies, where he's at. I can't say necessarily 100% confidence that the Chiefs are keeping 7 and Nico's one of them, but I'm like 90% confident that that's where they're at. There's a few other decisions. I mean, it's going to come down to a couple of spots to me, and injured reserve is going to play into that. But, it's either going to be 7 receivers, 10 offensive linemen, 6 linebackers. Those are the 3 big decisions that they've got to make. But I feel like the top 6 with Tyquan is absolutely put it in ink. Nico is darn close to it.
It's interesting to me. The one guy that didn't make any plays in this game specifically was Robert Tonyan, but he did something else that to me stamped or showed that he's on the roster. And it's basically coming out there. I think he was a starter tonight. Like, he was out there very early in the game and he was out there blocking. And that doesn't seem like it's a big deal, but when you're using him in place of Travis Kelce and you're taking Travis Kelce off the field to reduce his snaps, that's a win. He is absolutely on this roster in my mind. He showed plenty in the preseason in doing other things, and he was still doing special team stuff late in the game. Love what I saw from him.
Yeah, I'm looking at the snap visualization from Anthony Reinhardt. If you haven't checked it out, people, on Twitter and on his site, Stat Butler, it's fantastic. But, Robert Tonyan had 7 snaps. 6 of them were on those first 3 drives with the number 1 offense. So that tells you he's on this team. I mean, yep. I'm pretty sure Jared Wiley's going to be on this team. He was the 4th tight end to come in, and played quite a bit. They've got to figure out what to do with Jake Breeningstool, but I don't think there's any doubt. I mean, the Chiefs are going to carry 4 tight ends. I will put a steak dinner on that one. And you see these. I'll tell you what. I mean, I have a hard time, really, saying there's anything. I mean, these snap counts pictures absolutely tells you who's on this team and where the dividing lines are. And it's especially tough, for some guys, on the defensive side that are going to be some surprises. I mean, like Josh Williams, but you look at the receivers, and we were talking about that. You see the difference between the top 5 guys and the 3 that played tonight, since Brown and Royals will be in there too. It did not play tonight. Tyquan's the next guy in, and Nico and Brownlee. But remember, you see Brownlee playing late into the game, and I don't know what happened. I mean, it seemed like Jason Brownlee was the toast of the town after that back shoulder touchdown catch in Arizona. But the truth is, honestly, I mean, since then, his usage in training camp since that game, and practice since that game, has been that of a late 2nd, early 3rd teamer. And right now, I mean, I don't see a spot on the roster for this player. I'm also been told by people around the league that there is 0 way that he is clearing waivers, that there's going to be somebody who claims him. So if the Chiefs are trying to sneak him onto the practice squad, I think it's a slim chance. I mean, they maybe it'll work, but I've talked to people who don't think that it will. That Jason Brantley's put up enough on film for another team to take a chance.
And we're going to talk about how those cuts are going to move out, clear out, and we'll see who might have a shot at that coming up here in a little bit. One more guy that I definitely want to say, and I should, before I even get there, is say congratulations to you, Matt. You called Robert Tonyan from the day camp opened, and you are well ahead of everyone on this particular call. So despite my better judgment, I now agree with you. So well done. The other guy that I found very interesting, his performance tonight, I was not quite expecting it. They used a lot of Jerry Tillery on the defensive line, and it didn't look like as much of a liability tonight as it did last week. I don't know what happened, Matt. Is there something special in the water the last week, or what did you see that I didn't?
I don't know that I necessarily saw anything particularly special from Tillery, other than, I mean, I kind of saw the people behind him, and that's the problem that the Chiefs have, because they're struggling. I mean, and now Omar Norman-Lott didn't play tonight, so that was going to mean a little bit more work for Jerry Tillery. I think this was a better matchup because, let's face it, last week Seattle ran the ball a lot, and Jerry Tillery is the last guy you'll want out there in a bunch of run situations. He's a go after the passer first guy, and he's not a run stuffing one tech. I mean, he's more of a Chris Jones type of backup. So, that's what I see, and in that role, he can be effective. And I think you saw that tonight against the right team. He can be very effective. And now, hey, Joe Thuney wasn't also out there tonight for the Bears. That was one guy that they sat. So didn't get to see that matchup. That would have probably been good to see. Yeah, but maybe I don't know. I did not see before the game if Thuney was hurt, or this was just the Bears did not want Thuney going up against the Chiefs and Chris Jones, but probably a good choice regardless. But that would have been at least a challenge for these guys to face. But I mean, you got Omar Norman-Lott, Chris Jones, Mike Pennell are making the team for sure. Tillery is there because he's the best defensive tackle they have after that. And they haven't had anybody else really step up and prove anything, which is why I think you got to take a close look at what happens with the New York Jets, because if Derek Notty's available, he might be coming back to Kansas City.
Yeah, makes a ton of sense. I think that there's going to be a lot of players that we are going to need to talk about in this next segment when we start talking about cuts looming. But the one other guy that I want to mention really quick, Brashard Smith, seeing him come out of the backfield, the catches, the catch that he made and the almost catch that he made, just showing in them trying to give him the ball and get him involved in the offense early on, shows to me where he is on this roster as well.
He's absolutely on this roster. There is no doubt about it. And really, there's two things that surprised me about his pass targets tonight. One was that he had a drop on a tough ball, but the fact that they didn't hit on that, because I mean, he's been almost automatic in camp. I mean, they've had a really good connection when Mahomes, almost anybody working with Brashard Smith. I mean, he's been a smooth ball catcher. So the fact that he had a tough drop, but the fact he didn't come back with that one surprised me. Honestly, the fact that the Chiefs put that on film surprised me, because they seem to have purposely in the first two games have gone out of their way to avoid throwing the football to Brashard Smith, because folks, they're going to do it. He is going to be a target. I'm not saying he's going to get like 12 targets a game or anything, but they're going to throw the ball to him out of the backfield. They're going to split him out wide. They're going to use him in a lot of different ways. And if you see Brashard Smith lined up on a linebacker, he is going to eat that linebacker's lunch most of the time.
And that's what we're counting on. Unfortunately, it means some bad things for one of my favorite players. Cuts are looming. Is Carson still going to make it? We'll talk about it in a second. This episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. These days, it feels like everything from cold plunges to gratitude journals to screen detoxes are actually finding what works for you is the hard part. So with so much information about mental health and wellness out there, it can be overwhelming to figure out exactly what's true and what's actually help. That's where talking to a licensed therapist comes in, and BetterHelp can make all the difference for you. You get real personalized guidance instead of just guessing based on something you saw on social media. It definitely helps, especially when things get hectic. New school year, everything's starting to feel like it's coming back down upon you. This is the time to get with someone that can help you get through that. There's over 30,000 therapists for BetterHelp. It's the world's largest online therapy platform, serving more than 5 million people. Talk it out with BetterHelp. Our listeners are getting 10% off of their first month. It's over at betterhelp.com/lockedon. That's BetterHelp.com/lockedon. There's a lot that could be done. You can find it all over at Chiefs Digest and Chiefs Digest here on the platform as well. Sporting Wins the Mic with Matt, because Matt keeps us straight, because I have a tendency to overreact on games like tonight, and I am panicked for my guy Carson. Matt, it is very clear that because of some of those positions you mentioned earlier on the offensive and defensive line, the linebacker group, the wide receivers maybe needing 7, this could be a team that only takes 3 to the 53. And if that is the case, then I think Elijah Mitchell did not play himself onto this roster. And I think as much as they focused on Carson last week, they didn't tonight. I don't know if that's just setting him aside because you know what you have, or if he's really in trouble. Talk me off the ledge, Matt. Where are we on Carson Steele tonight?
Yeah, I don't know if I can talk you off the ledge. I was really Carson was one of the guys that was baffling me, because the Chiefs did give him fair amount of usage last week against Seattle, and the way that they had been working him in practice made me think, okay, is he in that conversation for maybe a fourth running back spot rather? And tonight, I mean, the fact that Elijah Mitchell was in front of him and he was really coming up and doing the kind of back end work in the fourth quarter, I think was a pretty good indication about where he is. I mean, if it's the exact opposite of last year, when I said that if Carson Steele made the team last year, it would be as a legitimate running back, not as a fullback. He would be a running back who might play fullback periodically. This year's different. This year was going to be a case that if he made the team, it was going to be as a fullback, and just a fullback that might occasionally play some running back. It certainly doesn't look like the Chiefs at this point are going to keep a spot for him. I think they would love to get him onto the practice squad. He's still a guy that, for maybe some specific games that you want to, build to put some things in offensively, he'd be great to have. Maybe as an emergency down the road, if you get some tight ends starting to get banged up, or, you maybe you just need some help in the backfield, he'd be a good guy to have. Great special teams player too. So there's a lot to like about having Carson Steele around. But Chiefs have 3 running backs that they're going to keep. And the question is, do they keep a fourth? And I think they want a fourth, but I also don't think that guy is on the team right now. I think they're going to be looking through potential cuts, probably not the waiver wire itself, because we've talked about it. They're 31st on the 31st. My goodness, 31st. I'm a professional writer, everybody. It's almost midnight. Cut me some slack here.
31st. I'm going to have to use that again.
31st on the waiver wire. So they're not getting anybody that they want off the waiver wire. So they're going to have to make some deals. That's what the next 72 odd hours will be about. The Chiefs trying to see, hey, if there's some depth at running back, depth at defensive tackle, depth at cornerback that they can find, that they can make some deals for. They might be willing to give up some players. Could a Carson Steele be available in a trade? Sure. Could a Josh Williams be available? Yes. Jason Brownlee, we're talking about him hitting the waiver wire. Could he be available in a trade? There's a handful of players that they could move if they want to make some player for player trades too. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I have a hard time trying to find a place for Carson, my friend.
I think the interesting part on that is I do think they keep 4 running backs, and I agree with you. It's probably one of those things where they're picking somebody else up or making a trade for somebody to bring him in. If they do keep 4, he's going to be the 4th. But the other problem you run into is you start looking at the roster. You start looking at the other positions that you talk about. You talked about 10 offensive linemen, 6 linebackers. Those are 2 positions where you've got to make some serious decisions. We haven't even seen Drew Tranquill at all this preseason. We know he should be ready to go. He was, I think, dressed on the sideline. Well, maybe, I don't know. I don't think I saw him on the sideline now I think about it. But you think he's going to be ready to go for the regular season. But that gives you questions. Cochran's hurt right now too. So that gives you questions as to what you're going to do at that position. And you start looking at this roster going, how are we going to fit all these players on this roster? And 6th linebacker, 10th offensive lineman, 7 wide receivers. That makes it really hard to keep a guy like Carson Steele. And the other part is the linebackers also could be playing some of his special team snaps.
Yeah, and linebacker is really, going to be a tough decision to make too, because, I mean, you've got a lot of guys that the Chiefs like. Now, Cole Christensen's played a lot, and I think that part of that is simply part of their plan. They want to let Cole Christensen play as much as he can, because they're going to have him on the practice squad, and that's a guy that, again, they've used a lot of. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think last year they rebooted his elevations. Remember, by waiving him and bringing him back. So they could bring him up like 6 times. So that's a guy that, like, hey, it's going to play for you. I just think it's going to be from the practice squad. But Cooper McDonald, I think, has made this team, and that gives you 7 linebackers. So what are you going to do? I mean, the easiest path is that if the bone bruise that Jack Cochran suffered in his knee is going to keep him out for a few weeks to begin the season, which it looks like is probably the case. Bone bruises aren't anything that you bounce back from easily, and they take some time. So if you want to give Cochran some time and you want to make sure that you don't lose Cooper McDonald, I think that maybe you keep 6 linebackers and McDonald is one of them. Now, that's probably going to cost you either your 7th wide receiver or your 10th offensive lineman, and it's probably your 10th offensive lineman. And, the Chiefs will have to make a tough decision there. I mean, Esapole, I think, is that 10th offensive lineman. So are you keeping him? Are you keeping Cooper McDonald? Are you keeping Nico Remigio? Who has the best chance of sneaking onto the practice squad? I mean, of that, I would probably say Play, because the Chiefs have done a better job of hiding him. They tried to hide Cooper McDonald, and Cooper McDonald just went out there and made a bunch of plays. So he's not a secret around the league right now.
No, he's not. I don't think he's made plays that make me want to put him on the roster, though. I think he's a work in progress. I think he needs a year on the practice squad to be somebody who could contribute. But you're right. He's made enough to make himself attractive to everyone else. So the fact that Cam Jones was the first linebacker onto the field that wasn't a starter really threw me tonight. So I'm not sure what that means. He did play more in that second quarter than anybody else, including Bossa, who was sporadically out there a little bit more. The draft pick is going to be on the roster. We know that. I think this is one of the more intriguing things, because I agree. They hid Pole pretty well. What do you get? 12 snaps tonight. Not anything that's going to really pop up on the radar around the league. And I think that's a good thing, because I like him onto the practice squad. If there's one other player that I do want to shout out, it's because of something else that you mentioned, Matt, with possible interest in Joshua Williams around the league and possible trade bait there. The guy that I think I know right now what's happening is Dave Toub is screaming in Andy Reid's ear that they have to keep Kevin Knowles around somehow, some way, whether it's on the practice squad or not. I fully agree, and I like his potential as a corner. How did you see it?
Yeah, I think what you saw tonight is a lot of what you've seen in St. Joe and in training camp and everything. Makes a lot of plays. Obviously, he's going to be a really good special teams player. Lacks the consistency to be ready for the 53 right now. So that's why, I mean, if the Chiefs are, one of the reasons why they're looking for some cornerback depth would be, hey, Kevin Knowles would be a great, I think, candidate for the practice squad. Is he ready for the 53? I mean, what they're lacking is consistency. And that's why Josh Williams is buried on the depth chart to where he is, because he hasn't been as consistent as they want. And honestly, I mean, that's why Christian Fulton's here, because Jalen Watson and Najee Johnson haven't been as consistent as they want. And now there might be some interest in Najee Johnson too, with the injury that probably makes it a little more difficult to move him. Josh Williams is probably a little bit more movable, but here's the tricky thing. I mean, if right now, looking at this, and this is a tweak that I'm going to be making from my roster projection that I published on Friday, based on what I saw tonight in usage and, once again, even performance. I'm going to be dropping off Josh Williams. He won't be. I'll probably go back to having five corners and 5 safeties. I just don't know that if they're going to go with 6 corners, I don't know that 6th corner is on this roster right now. And the Chiefs would like to try and pick up some more depth. They would like to upgrade that at least last corner spot. And the question is, are you picking? You're going to be probably picking up someone else's version of Josh Williams. So it's really going to be, are you just going to find a corner that better fits what you want to do, or but has a different skill set than what Josh Williams has that maybe fits? it was really telling the other day, when I think it was Spags was asked about Josh Williams and, about him. And, the first thing he really said was that, the great thing about him is that he's tall and long. Well, that's nothing about a skill set. That's just about who he is. So, that's what the Chiefs want, is that, and obviously I think they've been pretty hard on Josh Williams. I mean, they've tried to poke him, and I just don't think they've still gotten what they want. So that's why I think that there's a good chance that he is not on this final 53 for initial 53. And why, if the Chiefs try to pick up a corner over the weekend, it would not surprise me.
When you talk about your 53, I have to ask the question, are you going to do your 53 as in who's going to be there for week one? Or are you going to be doing your 53 as in who you think actually makes the team day one? Because I still think, you've said this multiple times, I still think there's going to be some roster gymnastics with some of the veteran guys that they can maybe cut and keep a guy an extra day, trying to maybe slide him through to get him to the practice squad.
Yeah, there might be a few of those moves, and there might even be a question of just also with injured reserve and how they end up using that, because it's entirely possible they might have 3 guys that they want to put on injured reserve. Jack Cochran's a possibility. One of the tight ends, most likely Jake Brainingstool, would be the possibility because he's the one that did not play tonight. Probably a little harder to justify Jared Wiley starting, but I also know that neither one of those guys is 100% right now. That's why Jake Brainingstool didn't play, because coming back from that hamstring, he's still not 100%. And probably the next one in question is Mike Edwards. And Mike Edwards would be in that kind of category. Hey, do you want to try and sneak him onto injured reserve to start the season and just, let him get healthy and maybe protect somebody else? And if you remember, if you want to put a third guy on injured reserve, you can, because the trick is you take a veteran that doesn't have to go through waivers and you release them. And the Chiefs have 2 of those guys that are perfect candidates, in Mike Pennell and Robert Tonyan. You can release them, pick them up the next day, and doesn't hurt anything. And now you can put a third player on injured reserve. So there are still some roster gymnastics that you can pull off in that regard, in addition to just the 2 free guys that you can put on IR and still designate to return. And my roster projection is going to be what I think it's going to look like at 3:00 on Tuesday. I can't see too much into the future yet to figure out what the Chiefs are going to do. But because and even that's not a possible, necessarily 100%, because the Chiefs, a lot of time between now and 3:00 Tuesday, they could be making trades and making some deals, before then.
And if they do, we will have it for you here on the channel and on the text line. Make sure you subscribe to that at 816-357-8781. Check out Matt's work at ChiefsDigest.com. Chris is over at Casey Chiefs Corner, mine at NFL 33 and RGR Football. And we will run it down for you next week. We will have Matt maybe just a couple hours after the cut down limit on Tuesday. So if you want reaction to see how close we were, make sure that you are ready for that. We appreciate you being here. Thanks for staying up late with us, Matt.
Absolutely. I think I'm looking out on the field right now. I think no one's left. So
you win.
Time to go.
Well done. Maybe not the first to camp, but the last out of the building. Thank you very much, folks. Have a great night. Enjoy your weekend. Keep your eyes out for the transactions that are coming, and we'll have more for you as we get ready for those cut downs on Tuesday. Have a great one. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.